Hey there! Today we're going to be talking appropriately because we are in the kitchen. We're going to be talking about food that we're taking on backpacking, how to basically just real basic planning of meals for however many days. So we're going to go over, like, for example, if you're going to go on a long trip, a 5-day backpacking trip, I'm going to give you some examples of how to plan meals for that so that you're not running out in the middle of your trip, and just as important, you're not at the end of your trip and still have a whole bunch of heavy food in your pack. So here we go. So first of all, you're going to sit down and you're going to basically calculate it out. Technically, unless there's something different about how you want to do things and you're going to do it your own way, and that's okay. You're going to plan for 3 meals a day, and you're going to want to have some kind of like extra energy type of snack thing, probably for the afternoon, to help get you there, and maybe just to have extras, maybe even in the evening and things like that. I wouldn't suggest eating by the evening. You should have your camp set up and your tent set up, and you really shouldn't have food in your tent for various reasons. I've gone over that in several other videos. So you should be avoiding having food in your tent and stuff. So no evening snacks. You should have that taken care of already and things like that. But in the afternoon, when you're still on the trail and it's not quite dinner time, you're probably going to want a little something. So for a 5-day backpack trip, let's just say you're going to stop and get breakfast before you leave the house, or stop somewhere on the way to the trailhead. So no breakfast for that first day, because you're going to take care of that before you're on the trail. So for a 5-day backpack trip, you're going to need 4 breakfasts. You're going to need 5 lunches. And again, you're going to need 4 dinners, because again, at the end of the trip, when you're off the trail, more than likely you're going to get something to eat in the town that you end up in or on the way home. I know when we would do backpack trip, that was always a tradition. We would be coming back from the Sierras, generally on a certain highway, and we would often stop in Placerville at a couple of restaurants there that we knew were there. They were favorites, and that's where we would eat. It was like our first civilized meal after getting out of the wilderness and things like that. So 4 dinners, 4 breakfasts, 5 lunches. So let's take a look at what kind of stuff you should be having for those things. We'll go with breakfast first. Now, for breakfast, you're going to have a lot of different choices. Obviously, one of the backpacker favorites and the easiest thing all the time will be things like instant oatmeal. I'll put it up around here somewhere, because that's the easiest thing. You boil some water if you're carrying a stove, and you add that to your oatmeal, you stir it up, bam, you've got breakfast. So, depending on your appetite, 2-3 packets, that's a good start for the day. Some good oats to give you, a little bit of carbs in there to give you some energy, get you going for the day. You've got a lot of different flavor choices if you go with that. And they're relatively inexpensive. You can get a whole box of those things at a decent price in most stores. And again, you're going to use 2 or 3 packets. So that's several breakfasts. Some backpackers like to have the same thing every day. It just makes it easy and simple. Some like variety, so that's just one idea. Also, with the instant oatmeal, that can be cold soaked. If you're a person who can't handle it and you just got to have it warm, that's fine. But I have done the cold soaking with that. It's easy to just add regular unboiled water to it, wait for it to get soft, and eat it. It still tastes good. It worked fine. You don't get any extra nutrients or any of that kind of stuff if it's heated or not. It's the same kind of thing. Other ideas for breakfast would be couscous, believe it or not. Just plain couscous. Again, that can be cold soaked, or you add hot water to it and mix it up. Once it starts getting soft, because it is a type of like grain or pasta type of thing. Once it starts getting soft, you add something like a little bit of cinnamon to it, some sugar or some other kind of sweet flavoring. If you really want to, you could even add, like a breakfast protein to it if you happen to have some with you and things like that. And that would also make a pretty good breakfast. There's always the old tried and true backpacker meals. There's plenty of breakfasts out there. I've reviewed a few on this channel, and things. But yeah, you can, the my only setback with the backpacker meals, the vast majority of them taste decently and they're easy to do. You just add hot water to them. They can be pricey. So if you're doing that, you're doing a lot of backpacking, doing those every single day, that can get expensive. But if you got it, you got it. Go for it. There's nothing wrong with those. So backpackers meals, oatmeal, couscous, different ideas like that. You can go with very simple things like the grain bars and things like that. Protein bars. Yep, that can be a breakfast if that's what you want to do. So those are options there, but you're going to have to figure out how many you're going to want for each meal and then how many meals you're going for. In our example, we're doing 5 days, so that's 4 breakfasts, and you're going to have to carry the appropriate amount for those meals and get it packed away. Now for lunches, when I was younger, and heck, even now, I still do it to this very day. The simplest lunch, the easiest lunch for backpacking is these guys right here. You get a little salami and you get some cheese. You cut it up and you eat it together. It's fantastic. And you add to it some crackers. And that's lunch. You have enough of those. Now, if you really want to do that also, you have the option of adding some tortillas. Tortillas, I keep them in my refrigerator over there when I'm here at the house because they last a long time there. But tortillas will last outside of the refrigerator for a decent amount. Definitely for a 5-day backpack trip. So you can carry tortillas with you. You add peanut butter to those. That's a pretty good lunch too. You add the cheese and the salami to some tortillas. Also, nothing wrong with that. That's a nice wrap for a lunch. That's good stuff. Carrying other sandwich meats, I would advise against it. Salami will do all right for a little while without being refrigerated. Some of the other thin sliced deli meats, not so much. Things like the chicken, the turkey, that kind of stuff. I would not trust it unrefrigerated for more than an hour or two. So I wouldn't take that stuff. Also, a little caveat. As you can see, I have the sliced stuff. Oh, and by the way, no sponsorship here. Just happens to be what I have in my house. I am not using a specific brand for any reason whatsoever. I'm not saying one brand is better than the other or that any brand has anything to do with this channel. So don't worry about that. But the pre-sliced salami is nice. But back in the day, and often still now when I go backpacking, I will get salami uncut in a stick. You can also use summer sausage and some of those, and those will last for the whole backpack trip in your backpack. And then just like the cheese that's uncut, you slice it. Hopefully you're carrying a cutting tool with you, a knife or something like that, a pocket knife. You slice the cheese and the salami as you need it. Add it to whatever you're going to add to, crackers, tortillas, anything like that. And bam, lunchtime. You just have to figure out how much you're going to need for the 5 days. That's 5 lunches you're going to need to take care of. And so, how much cheese, how much salami you're going to eat per meal, you're going to have to figure out how much to carry. Dinners. Once again, we have lots of varieties for dinners. And, of course, I'll throw out there, you always have the option of buying the old backpack meals. Again, those are pre-done. They're ready to go. Most of them you can actually cook in the bag. Once again, the only drawback is they tend to be more expensive than other options that are out there if you're willing to put in a little bit of work for those other options. So yeah, backpacker meals are there. Now, the old tried and true backpacker dinner, or you can even do it for lunch if you want to break out the things for lunch, is the old ramen. Look at that. Yes. Ramen is easy. It's simple stuff. And like the oatmeal that I talked about in the breakfast before, it is also one of those things, same thing with the couscous, that can be cold soaked. If you're trying to cut off that weight and you're not carrying a stove with you, a backpacker stove, ramen works. You just put that in a container, you add your water, and after a little while, it's ready to eat. It does not have to be heated up. You can eat it unheated, cold soaked, and things like that. Now, to make it a real meal, it's nice to add things to the ramen of some kind of protein. Again, if you're carrying things like salami, you can cut a little bit of that and add it to it. You can add summer sauces to it. But again, now coming in different packages, you can get Spam. Obviously, you're not going to carry a can of Spam or a can of this chicken. Again, no sponsorships going on here. But you can get those in smaller packages. Sometimes they're already pre-seasoned in different flavors. You add that to your ramen. You've got a nice thing where you've got your ramen noodles going on there. You've got a little bit of the broth that you've made. If you use that, you can bring your own seasonings to put on the ramen to make it taste the way you want. But some of those little packages will come seasoned, pre-seasoned little packages of chicken, tuna, Spam, all kinds of different stuff like that. You have options to carry that in the small packs, so you're not carrying a big can with you. You don't want to do that. That might work for camping and stuff like that, but for actual backpacking, no. Now, other options you can get besides the backpacker meals that are a little bit cheaper is you can get quinoa. This bag right here is huge. I would only need maybe a third of that bag at the most for a meal. And that, I believe, can be cold soaked and things like that. You can pick up any kind of ready rice that's pre-cooked from any kind of company. Same thing with instant mashed potatoes. You add hot water and bam. If you really want to do that cold, you can. Instant hot water. You can get little pre-arranged meals like that. Those are delicious. I have used them before. They are tasty. They make for a great meal. And they don't have to be heated if you don't want to. You can cook them. You can eat them straight out of the package. So again, if you're not carrying a stove, those are still an option. They are tasty. They are cheaper than a backpacker meal, and they are just as filling. Did I miss anything? Is there anything else down there that I could add to it? No, just that kind of stuff. Any kind of thing that you can add hot water to, you can probably do when you're backpacking. So, you're talking easy boxed mac and cheese, stovetop stuffing, or any kind of stuffing. Again, no brands are sponsoring here. Any of that kind of stuff will work. No problem. What else was there for dinner? I mean, you have all of those things. Again, couscous is an idea for dinner. Instead of sweetening it like you would maybe for a breakfast, it comes with different types of flavors, just like the ramen does. So you can kind of add that. And that's another thing that, just like ramen, you add your own protein to it, whether it's Spam or salami or any other kind of protein you're carrying, the tuna or the chicken. You add that in with the couscous, makes for a good dinner meal. And just make sure you have enough of those calculated out for your 4 dinners, and you are ready to go for a 5-day backpack trip. Finally, you're going to try and do some snacks. You're going to want some kind of snacks, probably mostly in the afternoon is what you're going to be going for. And things like that is before dinner, after lunch, you just want a little something to get you over that afternoon toughness as you're hiking before you get into camp and start making camp and things like that. Of course, the tried and true snack for backpackers is trail mix, and you can mix that any way you want. There are so many different types of trail mixes. I suggest one that's got a decent amount of carbs in it. Even as a diabetic like me, when you're out there working, you're going to need the extra carbs to give you that energy and things like that. Just keep an eye on your own health and your levels and things, your glucose levels, if you have the same issues that I do with diabetes. But other than that, you're going to want those carbs, especially if you're not diabetic, to be in there, give you that afternoon energy to get you all the way through the rest of the day. And so, that's the kind of trail mix you should be looking for. But also, simple snack would be peanut butter on some crackers, peanut butter on a tortilla, carry some extra cheese and salami, and just continue lunch. I had that for lunch, but I'm also going to have a few more slices of salami and some cheese in the afternoon as a snack. Nothing wrong with that. Then you don't have to carry extra ingredients and things, but the afternoon snack, that's not bad. Some nuts always help because that's good protein in little tiny form. It's fantastic. Different types of nuts, especially almonds, cashews, things like that. fantastic to have. Maybe get some trail mix with those in it. That always helps. So that's your option for snacks. Now, how much of that? That's going to be up to you. Now, remember, you always have the other options. There are like pre-made snacks ready to go. There's protein bars. There's all that kinds of things. Always an option. I try to, when I'm backpacking, cut my costs where I can without wiping out my comfort or my enjoyment and stuff. So if I can carry myself a snack like granola mixed with almonds and stuff that I can get for like $2 for an entire pound of it, compared to a few of those protein bars for the same amount, or maybe even only one protein bar for the same amount for some of the cost of some of these and things like that. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go with the easier, cheaper snack. But if you're not worried about that and you've got a good budget for your backpacking trip, nothing wrong with using protein bars and some of those other things, or backpacker meals and all that kind of thing when you want to. But that's kind of how you're going to have to do some basic math. You can't just throw stuff in your backpack and think it's going to work out. You have to figure out how much, because again, the key is you got to get that nice right in between. You do not want to run out of food. Do not want to run out of food before the end of your trip, so that you're going like the entire last day surviving on 2 crackers and things like that. But you also don't want to get back to your vehicle and look in your backpack and still see that you're carrying 15 pounds of food because a whole bunch of it wasn't eaten. So you got to try and get that math right, and that's what you're going to do. Is you're going to write down. You're going to basically develop a menu. I need this, 5 days backpacking. I need 4 breakfasts, 5 lunches, 4 dinners, and then you're going to write on a piece of paper or type it out on your computer or on your phone, however you do your planning. Okay, breakfast number 1 is going to be this. Number 2 will be this. And if they're all the same thing, that's okay. That's up to you. A lot of backpackers do that. I'm just going to have this whole 5 days. Oatmeal is going to be my breakfast. And so you bring enough oatmeal for 4 breakfasts. Okay? Same thing with the lunches, same thing with the dinners, if that's what you want to do. If you want some variety, I've given you some ideas in just this video. I've talked about a few other things in other, if you look at my 5 on Food playlist on YouTube, you'll see that there's some other ideas there. You can use any of those. Try to see if you can enjoy it. But the point is you're going to plan it out. You're going to put on there, this meal will be this meal will be this, until you have filled all the meals and okay, that's what I need to bring. That's what I'm going to pack. And hopefully by the time you reach your vehicle, you do not have a bunch of food left over, or you haven't been hiking for a whole day or more with no food. You hope. That's how it goes. All right, comments, questions, any of that good stuff, as always, down below in the comments, or you can get a hold of me, again, as always, at hikingforhealthca@gmail.com. Other than that, I hope things are going well. Welcome to 2026. We'll see how things go with this year. I had my nice January month off, and here we are in February. We're kicking off again. And one of the reasons, like I said, aside from talking about food, so I'm in the kitchen, I'm also inside because here we are in February, first week or so, and we got a storm front coming in. Yay, how fun. So yeah, it's storming, and that's general for Central Valley here. That's what we get. It's going to be our rainy season. That's usually goes into early March, and then we start getting some better weather, and hopefully that means I start getting out there on the trails some more. I'm hoping to get some more stuff in. We're also planning yet another long road trip across the country, maybe seeing some cool stuff and putting it on this channel. And also doing a lot of gardening. We've already got things started for that because we have a greenhouse. So regardless of the weather, we can get things going for that. So gardening and hiking and road tripping should be a good year for that. We'll see how it goes. Other than that, I hope you guys are doing great and that 2026 hasn't already stomped you. And other than that, I will see you guys next time.